right. Good morning, sweet sugar. So they say Kids Queen City Nevis, and greetings to those of you around the world. Welcome to the morning show right here on Sunlight at Radio 96.1, and welcome to our segment on the road, or traffic discussion, each and every Wednesday morning at 8:30. We are joined by members of from the traffic department, in particular Sergeant McGuire. Throughout the year, we've seen a number of them, and I'm doing it this way because we're getting closer to the end of our programming for 2025.
Yes.
So I believe we do have one more program, if my memory serves me correctly. If not, I will let you know. But I believe we do have one more program before the year is finished. But how are you doing, though?
Right. I'm doing good, just and
Good to see you.
yes, pleasant good day, good morning to our radio listeners. We, as usual, we always are happy when we can engage you, the general public and the driving motorists as a whole. And we always encourage you to do it the safe way, because road safety is always the best way to go.
Yes.
And so, Jiki, this morning we have an open topic in the sense that there are some things that I want to remind the general public of, and at the same time we will talk a little bit about the upcoming carnival in terms of the traffic management that will be in place. The carnival calendar of activities are increasing more and more, and because of that, there will always be the implication of traffic and the need for managing the traffic and so on. So let me start out by first saying that we have come to the end of the licensing period for 2025, and come January, it's a new licensing period. And I think it was about September we would have put out a notice to the general public of a waiver for persons who have vehicles with damaged windscreens. And that waiver was purposely to allow you an opportunity, enough time to have your windscreen replaced, sourced and replaced, and so that by the time the new licensing period comes around, you would not have that situation to deal with. One of the reasons we insist on it is because we want to make sure that the inspection standards, is always maintained and upheld. We did, however, say that vehicles that have damages to the windscreens in the area of the drivers that is hazardous, that is obscure, become an obstruction, that they should be changed immediately. So if you have not done so, no excuses come the new licensing period. So this is just a reminder that you have until the 31st of December. That's when the waiver officially ends in relation to you being accommodated. In fact, the last licensing period is October, and so you had an additional 2 months to prepare for the next licensing, which is thing. And remember, your vehicles according to your last digit and the month of the year, the number of months in the year, whether 1, 2, 3, as the case may be, that is your period of inspection and licensing. So we continue to look for the windscreen. We are still having challenge with tinted windscreen. We have seen where persons will remove the tint for the purpose of inspection and to get a pass, and then as soon as the vehicle is licensed, they go back to the same old habit. We continue to enforce because the law is very specific in terms of the 35% light transmission, and we have seen where people have been violating that. We continue to enforce in relation to that, and it doesn't matter the time of the year. So even during the carnival, the Christmas season, once we see you, we are going to enforce. if you refuse to have the tint removed, it's an offense. You can be arrested for obstruction. And we take the vehicle because I didn't know specifically the section, I think, but within the Vehicles and Road Traffic Act, there is a section that says any infraction in relation to the vehicle, any deviation from the construct of the vehicle, that vehicle must be impounded until that infraction is corrected. So we do have the authority to take your vehicle in custody if you refuse to have the tint removed. And no, it is not a punishment if you're ticketed and then you're asked to remove your tint, because the reason why you are being asked to have your tint removed is because it's a violation, and if we allow you to continue to drive with the tint, then it means that the violation is continuing, and so we have to stop the violation, and that is why we request of you to remove your tint, and we apply the law strictly where you're given a ticket fine. And so if you refuse to have your tint removed, then you can get arrested for obstruction and your vehicle can be taken into custody. We are not in the business to inconvenience our citizens, to create any hardship or difficult situation for anyone, but you have to be compliant with the law, and so that is what. So your tint is a situation that we continue to monitor. Rental vehicles, according to the law, should not be tinted. Regardless, should not be tinted at all. So rental vehicles should not be tinted. Your license plates must be in compliance with the law in relation to the positioning of your license plates, the size and the correct size and spacing of your number, so that it can be very legible and visible. And so these are things that we want you to continue to insist on. Your rear lights, your license plate to be illuminated, your headlamps to always be projecting lighting at least 75 yards, so that you will have sufficient lighting when you're traveling. And while I'm at that, you're advised that the lighting season has been changed. We are now in the short days and long nights, and so the lighting period is from 6:45 to I think it's 5:30 or 5:45 a.m.
That varies, right? That varies throughout the year, right?
It varies. Sometimes it depends on how the lighting, because the lighting is the problem. However, if you're driving in the night and it is dark and it is not yet time in relation to the lighting period, you are encouraged to drive with your headlamp, not your fog lights. I've seen a lot of people driving with their fog light, GQ. For the past time we've been speaking about road safety, with passenger safety, especially with children seats, car seats, and for older children who are not able to be in a car seat, you have a booster seat, and persons who are traveling with children must ensure that these measures are in place. Children that under the age of 14, irrespective of where they travel on private vehicle, and I say private because there is an exemption in the law in relation to passenger buses, but private vehicle, irrespective of where the child is sitting, then the child must wear a seat belt. So all these are things that I really want to remind us. But what I want to focus on most importantly, GQ, is what I consider menacing offenses. The frequent violations, the common violations, the parking on the yellow lines, parking in restricted areas, and the continued running of the stoplights. We have seen where people are running the stoplights, and so we are in this season where more people, because we have expats returning home, we have visitors, so there is increased traffic in relation to vehicles. Besides, we have the VAT in terms of where people seize the opportunity to own a vehicle because of the VAT discount, and also those who imported vehicles, reconditioned vehicles. So there is a significant increase in vehicular traffic and pedestrian traffic as well. And this is why we continue to encourage and remind you about safety. Yeah, you want to say something?
I just want to let the public know that it's an open discussion this morning. I know you're sharing your concerns, giving some updates.
Right.
But I also want to let the public know that it's an open forum as well.
So they can call and interact and engage.
465-1977. That's the number to call. 465-1977. On that note, let's get the ball rolling.
Yes.
Is there any consideration for signage with penalties?
Explain.
For example, you're coming up to a roundabout. There's a signage that says, if XYZ, you'll be charged XYZ.
Well, generally we don't do that. The sign is there, but I understand what you're saying is part of the education so that people know what is the fine.
Right, because I'm looking at it from the angle of, we've tried that way for a very long time, and obviously it's not working. We're putting up regular signs where it's clear,
like the yellow lines, and no parking,
no
signs,
parking,
the no entry, the no right turn.
Right. So I'm thinking maybe it's time to go a step further and put up, hey, camera here. If the law has been broken, you'll be charged or fined. Or the verbiage maybe,
right.
You know what I mean?
I don't think it's a bad suggestion. Maybe not with the sign, but like billboards, notice, like license and authority notice violation will result in a fine of whatever amount and so on.
Right.
So that can be, I agree with you that can be part of the ongoing information sharing and education.
Hold on.
Yes.
We had a call coming in there. You can always call back. 465-1977. Like, as we indicated, it is an open discussion this morning. We are hearing from you, the public. We have Sergeant McGuire from the Traffic Department, and we will be taking your calls, your considerations, your suggestions, your recommendations, and the list goes on and on.
So we have a call?
Yeah.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
A blessed good morning, DQ. Good program, but the amount of vehicle in St. Kitts, they ain't got no parking spot away from Rams one and another one. They used to park there by the square and the law side, but now a building gone up there. So where people gonna get to park up? And this is carnival, so you all got to know what you are doing with people, that people could get a good parking spot. And good program over here. Thank you.
Thank you, and good suggestion as well. But the thing about it, this is one of the reasons why we encourage carpooling. I know that is not something that might be favorable to every motorist because of convenience and things like that. But the thing about it, with the increased vehicle traffic, it means that congestion is the likelihood of congestion and the unavailability of parking spaces. So one should take those factors into consideration. However, the venue organizers of the events, they continue to make parking available. And that is why we are saying, as part of the traffic management, we want to have the restrictions and everything be publicized early, so people have to familiarize themselves with the various restrictions, so that you don't get caught. Because the thing about it, we will also be towing violators. That is something I find that the indiscretionary action, indiscriminate action of some drivers in terms of the way that they park, and sometimes the blatant disregard for the restrictions that are in place, like the yellow line. And I want to say that sometimes people like to say, "Oh, I just run in for 2 minutes. I just stop here to put off somebody." The fact is that the restrictions are in place for a reason, and your 2 minutes, even though most of the time it could never be 2 minutes, because you can run in and run back out in 2 minutes. It means therefore that is 2 minutes added to the more congestion that you have created.
Let's take this call. All right, we lost that call, but a comment is coming in. This person says, "Good morning. If drivers get the proper education and go to driving school, I think that they would be more compliant. The problem is that some people are not going through driving school. They're getting their license through other means. Because I remember learning to drive, give way to traffic on your right at a roundabout. And I have never forgotten that. That's just my 2 cents."
Right. And I don't know from what basis that person is making the contribution in terms of persons are getting their license. I know one prescribed way of getting the license. In the case of someone who never had a driver's license, you go and you take the written test, of course, after you buy the permit and the test certificate. And once you are successful in the exam, then an appointment is made through your instructor for a road test. And once you are proven to be competent, because that's the purpose of the road test, your license is just a certificate of competence. And once you have gone through that process and you have proven and certified, then it is expected of you to comply with the rules. Because even in the process, in preparation for the examination, we encourage you to utilize the highway code, because where there are laws that is not in our laws, the highway code covers it. And
so you're saying that we don't have illegal drivers on the road?
We don't have
illegal drivers.
We do have illegal drivers, because there are persons who are driving, running the risk of driving without having a valid and unexpired license. But I'm speaking to where if persons use the appropriate channel provided in the law to become certified, that has to be followed as it sets out in the vehicle.
Yeah, and I'm asking, do we have illegal people who have driver's license illegally?
Who have driver's license illegally?
Do we have that?
No, I cannot say definitively that we have. There might be possibly, because we know that we have seen cases of persons with fake license, and so to say definitively that there is none, I will be incorrect. But once it is brought to the attention of the police, of course, it's an offense, and it's an arrestable offense. And so whenever those are uncovered, the police have intelligence of any attempt or any ring of facilitating such illegal act, that the police act swiftly upon it to stamp it out. At traffic, we have a very rigid and way of assessing. In fact, we recognize that there have been a little bit of vulnerability in relation at traffic in the issuance of the temporary driver's license. What we recognize, because after 4 o'clock, in order to continue to provide the service to the public, that the officer who is on duty, once that officer is an approved licensing officer by the Commissioner of Police, the licensing authority, then that person can continue to issue temporary driver's permit. What we recognize is that those officers, because they are not in the day-to-day running, so they are not afraid with the changes, the different things, and so they will not be as thorough as persons who are in the office. And so persons recognize that and they seem to be taking advantage of it. So we have cut it out. So we no longer issue temporary driver's license after 4 o'clock. After the office is closed, we close at 2 and 3. 2 on Fridays, 3 o'clock on the other days, and so if it is on the weekend, unless you go to rent a vehicle, and that is only for visitors, because the vehicle rental owners are aware, because there are procedures they have to follow, that you do not rent, you do not issue temporary learners permit to locals, only visitors. There are some areas where we see that can be exploited, because we recognize that expat, when they return home, they might be given a local license before they migrated, or while they have been visiting and migrated, and they have not renewed that license. So they come with their foreign passport and they go to the rental companies and they present it, because they're seen as a visitor,
Right.
and they get the permit. But that is even that we are already on top of, and we want to stamp it out, because they seize that as an opportunity that they don't have to go and renew their license, because you know that you will have to pay for the back tax. Sometimes they come to the traffic, and given the circumstances, that what waiver is given, so they don't have to pay those back license fees and so on. But they choose to use the temporary driver's license. So wherever there are areas that we recognize vulnerabilities, then we try to improve on that.
Thank you for the clarification.
Yes.
Good morning, your life.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
I have two quick questions. The first one has to do with the period for lighting of vehicles. And I did hear the officer say that the period might be adjusted at this point in time of the year because of the short days and long nights, whatever, right? But
Did you say lighting or licensing?
lighting,
Yes. Okay.
because I noticed that once upon a time I used to hear the information on the radio at different times of year stipulating what the period for lighting of vehicles is. I don't hear it now. But what I notice is that when it is visibly substantially dark, I see a lot of people driving without lights. Even though in a long line of traffic you have other vehicles with lights, you come upon these increasing number of persons who are without lights and they are driving in traffic. And the color of the vehicle is of such that you can't even discern that there's an object coming towards you. So I wanted to inquire about that and to also urge the department to look out for those infractions, right?
Right.
Secondly, the indicator lights that are used when someone is coming to a stop, very typically with passenger buses, when they are coming to a stop to pick up a passenger, they put on their left indicator light, which is supposed to, I suppose, say to the person behind, I am pulling over. But the point is that they're not pulling over into another lane. And so when they do that, they then stop to pick up the passenger and they have that indicator light on, which is supposed to be, which could be interpreted as you can pass. And so the person behind, in attempting to pass, will now encounter oncoming traffic, particularly if the person who is behind is in a left-hand drive vehicle. And even so, sometimes the bus driver puts out his hand and try to indicate with his hand that the person could pass, while the indicator light is suggesting that. And for a person with a left-hand drive vehicle, they cannot even see the driver's hand. And so it presents a hazard to me, which I think requires some education of drivers. If you are going to pull off where there is no other lane to pull off, well, I shouldn't even say pull off. If you want to stop, you just stop and you can indicate with your right indicator not to pass because traffic is coming, but not indicate with your left indicator when traffic is coming. I think it's a hazard. I just wanted to draw that to your attention and to urge some education of the general public on that.
Thank you so much for that, and those are two very critical points you have made.
Hold on.
Yes.
Forgive me for interrupting you. Yes, we do. Pardon me.
Yes.
But I'll ask you to remember your response to the caller. We're gonna take a break, and with your permission, I hope you can stay. Let me ask that.
That's okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
that's fine.
So we'll be back to
Yeah.
engage with that caller and share some more.
Right.
All
No
right.
problem.
Don't touch that dial, guys. It's the morning show. It's time for the Grange. Sorry, it's time for 9 o'clock report. Compliments the Grange.
You're simply the best. Better than all the rest.
Are you looking for a place that provides skilled nursing care and rehabilitation services to people with special needs, illnesses, injuries, or functional disabilities? Are you searching for dignified facilities to serve the elderly? Then search no more.